Yo, what's up, guys? Twisty back with another video. Look, I know that the following is gonna sound heavily outlandish, but I think my thought process is somewhat based in evidence and coherence, so let's just have a little bit of fun, shall we? All of this is pure speculation, and I'm only going to try and derive the gameplay gimmick of Scarlet and Violet from previously established gameplay gimmicks, and maybe, just maybe, we can get to a consensus. Anyway, let's jump in. So, I'm just gonna quickly throw it out here, just for people who don't want any explanation, that they can just turn off if they want to. It's my idea that the gameplay gimmick is gonna have something to do with time. I know it sounds weird, but hold that thought, okay? Gen 9 is all about time. We see a lot of differences in time with the legendaries, the professors, put slash evil team leaders. Like, honestly, there is so much there are so many facial features that actually just scream evil team boss. It just makes a lot of sense, honestly, and the whole end teasing screen, basically, with the shattered something and the Pokeball flying through that. I think there's a lot of food for thought to say that our gameplay feature that we're going to see in Scarlet and Violet is gonna be time related. I'm honestly open for a lot of discussion points where you guys think that the whole time is gonna be the gameplay gimmick. Could lead us, like, it could mean that you're gonna jump forward a turn, perhaps, for a charge move like Sky Attack to be used instantaneously. There's a lot of things that you can do with a time mechanic, so to speak. And I think it would be also one Pokemon per team limited. Like, you get a form of, I don't know, a past gene, or let's just say that the item is gonna be called pacifier. What? Or futurifier. Let's just make that the fun term, okay? Just completely outlandish. I know everything here sounds like it's complete crazy, and I accept that. It's not said that this is 100% correct. I just think that we're going in that direction. And I'm gonna explain in a minute as to why I think we're going into a time gameplay feature. But let's just say that we're gonna have some form of item that will make it able for a Pokemon to either jump into the future or into the past, at least for 1 or 2 turns maximum. I think it would be really interesting to experiment with that kind of thing, especially for things like Solar Beam, Sky Attack, or just straight up getting rid of damage that has been done to you. So now that you know what I think is going to be our gameplay gimmick going forward, let me go backwards to the Pokemon games from Generation 6 onwards, all the way up to current time today, and let me explain how I derived this gameplay mechanic in the first place. Okay, so we're gonna start with X and Y, and to a lesser extent Omega Ruby, Alpha Sapphire. I say to a lesser extent because RS just adapted the mechanic of X and Y. So, X and Y gave us Mega Evolutions, right? Well, to me, it was symbolic of the evolution that the Pokemon franchise went for from the switch of Gen 5 to Gen 6. If you wanna bring yourself back really quick to the games themselves, like, I even have the box art right here. Pokemon X and Y came out for the 3DS. it was basically the evolution towards the next handheld console, the next generation of Pokemon. Because after Black and White, they have basically expanded everything that a regular Pokemon game could do. And, well, I think it started to fall off with time after Black and White came out. Here's the reason. You have done basically everything you could with Pokemon at the time, and Black and White was a departure from the gameplay-focused gameplay, and it was more story-orientated. There were a lot of difficult matters that were addressed, and therefore Black and White basically was the ending point of OG old-school Pokemon, and with X and Y, we moved over to modern Pokemon with all the 3D, with all the camera movement capabilities that we have. Camera movement capabilities, okay? Like, honestly, one of the only places where camera movement was really important was Lumia City in X and Y. It's kind of a stretch, I know, but it's one of the things that the 3DS was actually allowing the new Pokemon games to do. So I'm still counting it, even though it's kind of a weaker point in all of this. Also, you had the 3DS capability of displaying anything, any form of cutscene in 3D. Whether you think that is a feature worth having is a completely different point of discussion, okay? But it was something that was added, which was some form of evolution from the very big 2D sections that we all know and I think most of us love, because a lot of the old cutscenes, all the way up until X and Y, they are very much loved in the Pokemon community still. And I think for a good reason. So, Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire did exactly the same thing, basically. And I'm not sure if I mentioned this because I'm kind of jumping a little bit between points in the recording. I'm not sure if I'm gonna change any of this in the editing department. But I already kind of mentioned the switch from the DS to the 3DS. You can kind of look at it that way, that the regular stage of a Mega Evolvable Pokemon is the DS, and then the Mega Evolution is the 3DS. It's stronger, and it's, to a lot of people, not all of us, definitely not, but to a lot of people, it's also a more appealing visual, or just a more appealing overall package, but it comes at the cost of sympathy, nostalgia, just the overall establishment that the Pokemon already had. And, you know, it's kind of weird how none of the Gen 6 originals, you know, things like Greninja, Delphox, Talonflame, and so on, that none of those Pokemon actually had the potential of Mega Evolution on them. It has all been older Pokemon, which I find kind of weird, honestly. Alright, with that out of the way with Gen 6, let's move on to Gen 7, which honestly is the hardest for me because I have spent that little time with Gen 7, but I'm gonna try to get it done as thoroughly as possible. So stick around for a little bit. I'm getting to it. So Gen 7, the Z crystals. So the Z crystals to me are entirely connected to the change of the formula to no longer have gyms and instead have the island trials. So because of how different the whole trial situation and the difference in the perspective of the gym challenge and everything like that is, I said it like it's Gen 8, but the challenge of gym leaders, okay? Not exactly the same as the gym challenge. I think the crystals really are a good reflection of that, as they are type specific, like gym leaders and Elite Four members, and they span a lot of different Pokemon with their types. Of course, we have very specific crystals because, well, some of the trials are very specific. I still remember that one dancing mini game, I think for Kiawe. What's his name? Was that his name? Kiawe? The fire dude with the Alolan Marowak and the Charizard and the Turtonator? I think in the anime he also has a Turtonator. It's been a long while. By the way, I just want to mention this really quick. If I do get anything wrong here, especially with Gen 7, please do correct me in the comments. Be respectful about it, but please do correct me should I get anything wrong from the pure information standpoint. If you want to put your own hypothesis as to why certain things are in Pokemon, definitely put that in as well. So, to get back to my point, it seems to me that the crystals are a manifestation of not only the different climate in Alola, but also to the different living style, where you don't go for something time-based like Mega Evolution, which honestly could last for an entire battle or until the Pokemon faints, but it's one quick explosive thing that just catches your attention, which I think you could attribute to the trials as well. I don't remember a lot of them, but if my memory is not too bad here, the final challenge usually involves a guardian Pokemon. Again, it's been super long, which was kind of super powered with some form of buff. And I think that that is a very good reflection of the Z crystals themselves, because these supercharged Pokemon are a quick, short, and explosive battle, unlike the gym challenge, unlike a gym leader that is more drawn out over different Pokemon and over more time. Of course, there definitely, if you are a little bit underleveled, it could still take a lot of time, especially with the bonus buff of those. I forgot what they're called. Trial Pokemon? Trial Boss? Again, please do tell me in the comments. I really forgot what they're called. Well, no matter. I kind of lost my point here. So, I hope this next thing makes coherent sense. But in my eyes, I think that the overall battle style is more short-term, more explosive. And that is exemplified in the Z crystals, I think, personally at least, very well. Things like that gravity attack, which I only remember vividly because of the Game Theory episode on the most devastating Pokemon moves. There was some form of gravity attack, a black hole eclipse or something like that. Well, whatever it may be, it's ridiculous, okay? It's just ridiculous. But yeah, short term, very explosive, kind of like Alola as a region in general, with the different trials and challenges. Everything is a lot more fast-paced, so to speak. Well, that's basically what my own conclusion from Generation 7 is. Again, if I'm wrong on any of that, please do correct me, because I would hate to have people watch this video and see like, well, those points, I'm just gonna take them at face value, and then they're wrong. I would hate that. I'm not a Velicify. Which will be the only mention of this guy in this entire video. Now, what about Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee? They are very clearly only concerned about Mega Evolution and not the Z Crystals. Yes, I do think that the consensus here is that the Z crystals are so specific to Alola that they didn't have the thought process to put them into a Kanto game. And also, Mega Evolution is so massively popular. Still that I think that the only reason that they put Mega Evolution into Let's Go PV in the first place is simply to appease the people that like Mega Evolution. Long-term speaking, it was an issue and a mistake to put Mega Evolution in because that set false expectations going forward. People to this day want Mega Evolution back in future games, and I can see why. PV definitely made us think that Mega Evolution was gonna be a more prominently returning feature. And who knows, maybe we will get it back in another game. The future is very open-ended. We could get it back. We could get a game at one point with every single feature under the sun. Maybe Generation 14 will give us all the gameplay gimmicks at once, which will also then end the Pokemon franchise. We don't know any of that. You can speculate all day long and never get to a conclusive answer. Well, side rant aside, I think we're now gonna finish it off with Generation 8, which I think Dynamaxing is very much representative of the switch from Gen 7 to Gen 8 as well. Basically, everything was gonna get bigger. The games were gonna get bigger. The switch to the Switch, was definitely a big improvement, which Dynamaxing definitely is a representation of. And also, the switch to the DLC policy that Nintendo has adopted for their Generation 8 games. Primarily Sword and Shield with paid DLC and the other games with more bonus free content. Well, I say content, it's like small updates. It's definitely a reflection of the Gigantamax in my eyes, because not only do you get something that's bigger, you also get something that changes ever so slightly. And well, some Gigantamax forms change heavily, and others don't change that much. Also, with Gen 8, we had the wild area, which was a very, I want to say massively big area, but I know that I'm gonna piss off a lot of people who love Sword and Shield, but in retrospective, the wild area in the base game is tiny, and only with the bonus wild areas from the DLC do you get any form of semblance of a wild area that is even worth calling big. So, just for the whole point of it being new, like a big new area, a new area that is somewhat big, you could make the point that the wild areas also represented in Dynamaxing. So yeah, with all those points now somewhat coherently explained, I think you can see how I derive a time gameplay gimmick for Scarlet and Violet. Will it come to fruition? I don't know. No one knows. No one has any clue. All we can do is speculate. So, to summarize all of this, do I think that this is a perfectly sound gimmick? Maybe? I mean, we had the Generation 8 with the whole concept of space, like Pokemon expanding to huge sizes. So basically their space is expanding. And if we look at the concept of our universe, what's next to space? Time. Because space-time basically always goes hand in hand. I think that from space, the only logical conclusion would be time next as a gameplay gimmick. I think this is what the teaser at the end of the last trailer was trying to give us in terms of a hint. A Pokeball shattering the concept of space and time. But because we already had space, I suspect that we're only gonna get time this time around. Haha, funny. So yeah, this is my conclusion for the gameplay gimmick of Scarlet and Violet. Is this gonna come to fruition? No one knows. we have no clue. All we can do is speculate. And hey, should it come through? I mean, maybe I was the first person to even suggest this. I don't know. I don't watch theories about gameplay gimmicks. I watch theories about actual Pokemon lore. Anyway, I think this is a good stopping point. And I thank you all so much for watching. I shall see you all in my next video, I hope. And until then, this has been Twisty, aka Marco, and I'm out. Peace. I already kind of mentioned I already kind of mentioned the switch from the DD. I already kind of fuck my life. By the way, if I do get anything, I think we're gonna never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down.